So, the last time you saw me, I was in a dress shirt, and that night, actually, right after work, I was called to the hospital, where my wife was in there to look at preeclampsia, and we ended up having a C-section to get out my second daughter. So that's what I've been doing for the last week. And so I don't know if you've never had a kid, never had a newborn to deal with, let me try to explain what the situation is like. So the remake of Battlestar Galactica starts with an episode where the Galactica gets attacked on a regular half-hour basis, basically, by evil robots that want to kill them. And so by the time the episode starts, everyone is already at the end of the rope. Nobody can get any sleep. They're starting to hallucinate. They're starting to kind of lose their minds a little bit because there's just a continuous flux and flow of, stuff to deal with. Having a newborn is basically that, except you're replacing the evil murderous robots with this kind of adorable blob that you are responsible for. So that's where I am. I have not been sleeping much, but you know what? I feel like drinking something a little bit special, so we're going to have some Armagnacs today. Some really good ones, too. High-end ones. All right, so we have one Bas-Armagnac and two from the Ténarèze, which is a personal obsession of mine. I love Ténarèze Armagnacs. All right, let me get these poured, and we will talk more about them. Come on. Sample bottles. The caps kind of, the little cones in the caps kind of get stuck sometimes. And it's a huge pain in the butt. Okay, so what have I got here? I have got a Darroze, who's a big negociant, bottling of Chateau from 1982. So we're going to go up in order of increasing strength, but it's also starting with a birth year yak of mine. I was born in 82. 37-year-old. This was bottled in April 2019. Again, bottled by Darroze from the Bas-Armagnac. 67% Ugni Blanc, 33% Colombard. Second up is a Leberon from 87. I'll talk more about that in a minute. And third is a Hon Timber, which is a Heavenly Spirits project, which is probably a Pouchegu, which is from 87 also. So some big names here. Let's get started. This Lahit is bottled at 47.8%. All right, on the nose. Okay, so initially, and this is something you would expect from a 37-year-old brandy, tons and tons of French oak. I'm getting dried cherry. I'm getting Darjeeling, overstewed Darjeeling tea. Prunes, dates. Kind of some dusty attic notes. Kind of dusty attics filled with like books and like old wooden furniture, that kind of thing. And beyond that, this is actually quite tight. There's some, okay, so there's some coffee cake going on. There's some cinnamon, some clove. A little hint of fennel, actually. There's some earthiness to this. A little bit of a dried flower note, which is I guess the distillate coming through. But again, it's very congested a little bit. Not a whole lot. There's a kind of like baked grainy note, something. No, pancakes. So you're gonna take some pancakes and cover them in fruit syrup from your prunes and dates, and also just like regular pancake syrup. It's really earthy. There's like a clump of dried dirt. So it's not a hugely complicated nose as the sort of nose you'd expect from a craft Armagnac of this kind of prestige, but it also just feels like something that Really needs a little bit of water to show it its best. But let's try it on the palate. Water or thyme. If you're one of those people who just objects to the very idea of adding water, that's okay. Just leave your glass out a little bit longer. Just let it kind of get air. It serves a lot the same purpose. Okay, it's nice. Also feels kind of congested though, kind of feels tight. Quite woody. Very Armagnac-y, very woody, spicy, fruity, on like coffee cake, which you've like covered in cloves and cinnamon. Darjeeling again, like stewed Darjeeling, but also just the leaves. There's a kind of green leafy note going on. Ooh, there's a little pear going on, little hint of like aromatic pear, kind of floral pear. Some kirsch in there, some potpourri. Extremely dry and wood tannic on the back end. Not overwhelmingly so. It's just like, it's not unbalanced or anything. This is just leaning dry. It just kind of feels, I don't know how to describe this better. There's some candied raspberry, I feel like I'm eating old books. Some black pepper, lots of black pepper. It feels tight again, but also just feels very old Armagnac. So what I'm going to do, watch this one, is add a little bit of water to it. At the moment, this isn't impressing me a whole heck of a lot, not to the degree that the pedigree would be saying, would be showing. But water can change a lot of things, so we're going to come back to this. Second up, Leberon. I forget who sent me these things. I'm sorry, I have a newborn brain. Leave me alone. Leberon, 1987, 31-year-old Armagnac-Ténarèze. This is cask number 53. Ugni, Blanc, and Colombard again. 49.9% ABV, so a little bit stronger and a little bit younger. Now, what's exciting to me about Leberon, which has kind of become a big name, is that they're under the same ownership as Darroze, which has kind of been, to the extent that I nerd out about Armagnac, that is the biggest, Darroze is kind of the biggest state that I nerd out about. Above all, because they wild ferment. That is very, very cool, and God, it shows in their brandy. All right, so let's give this a shot on the nose. Okay, so extremely floral. No, wait. So floral, yes, but it's more than that. There's more going on. This smells like a forest. Yeah, I'm gonna stick like this. This smells like just like trees and, yes, flowers, but trees and bark and dirt and like weird molds, and it just smells like a forest in the springtime. And you kind of walked in, you kind of breathe in all that greenness. Give this to me blind, I would probably call it brandy, but man, this is not. So to the extent that the first one is sort of almost too textbooky as far as Old Yak goes, this one is pretty wild, actually. Dried flowers, fresh flowers, some honey, like honeydew honey, bitter honey, sour honey, tree sap, figs, a ton of just like dried dust. Not attic dust this time. This is like forest dust, like it hasn't rained a couple days. Nettle tea, some there's some slightly green notes. Almost like a gooseberry thing. No. This like high-end Bordeaux Blanc. Like you bought yourself a really good Grave Blanc, and you kind of set it down to age for 10 years, and you went back to it. That's kind of what I'm smelling right now. Some peaches as well, of all things, like stewed peaches of all things. Crazy nose. Very interesting. On the palate. Ooh. Holy crap. Where do I start with this one? So first of all, it feels a little short in the mouth. So I'll say some mean things first. It feels a little short in the mouth. The finish hangs on forever on some very interesting notes. There's a lot of nettle tea notes in this. Again, it feels very foresty. I feel like I'm drinking a forest. But it doesn't really extend past the front of my molars. That's kind of where this stops. It kind of concentrates everything there. So yeah, nettle tea all day long, especially in the finish. Flowers, almost like flowers eau de vie, like macerated flower eau de vie, I guess. Except you've aged your flower eau de vie in European oak, in French oak. Lots of fresh oak. Flowers, old books, old furniture, like Victorian furniture. Stewed peaches, again, which you kind of drizzled in honey. Different kinds of honey. There's some clover honey, but also the forest honey again. Some honeydew. There's a tobacco note, like a artisanal cigarette note, like American spirits with a little bit of perique in there. Black pepper, lots of black pepper. English breakfast tea. Finish is just fascinating. So it's like a really interesting sort of ashy, floral, nettle tea kind of finish, shot through with black pepper. Really interesting. So this is one that I'm enjoying in this, but I also have to say, like, to the extent that Armagnac is beginning to get popular with bourbon drinkers because it just has that huge load of wood on it that sort of dries everything. This is not really a bourbon drinker's Armagnac. This is a different beast, which I appreciate. I enjoy this. I'm going to give this a little bit of water, and we'll come back to it. Let's see if that's good. That's enough. I'm gonna call that good to go. Oh, a little more. Okay. Man, I can smell these. Oh. Okay. Third up, Hon Timber. So this is a undisclosed project by the Heavenly Spirits folks, who also bring in tons of folks. Delors and D'Artigalon, most prominently. Marie Dufau, a couple of others. But this one they're not naming the original distillery. They are noting that it's no longer in production. But basically, all signs point to this being Pouchegu, which is, again, has kind of picked up a big name for itself among Armagnac nerds. They did close a couple of years ago, which is not closed, but like they shifted over to wine production, as I recall. Which is very sad. So, 34 years old, 1987 vintage, bottled 2021. This is barrel number 41 for 540 bottles. The label does actually say Pouchegu on there, but the actual bottle does not. This is 54.2% alcohol, so quite a bit stronger than the other two. Here we go, on the nose. Oh, man. Okay. Bourbon fans, come on in. Come on into the room. You will like this. Lots of mixed berries. So blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, cherries. You know how you like the cherries and the brown sugars and the vanillins? Come on in. You will enjoy this. Plum. Dried plum, so prune, but also like fresh plum. And we're going to mix that with just like, I don't know, oak chips, like French oak chips, like you would get in a cheap wine factory. Just lots of Christmas spices: cinnamon, cardamom, nutmeg, clove. A little bit of a floral hint, like one flower, a little bit of pepper, like one peppercorn. Cup of Irish breakfast tea in there, with cream and sugar. It's extremely pure, for lack of a better word. There's just so much fruity, French oaky goodness coming out of this, which I appreciate. Again, if you are a wood lover, a lover of woody spirits, you will appreciate this nose. More dusty furniture kind of stuff coming out when you give this a little bit of time. Yeah, very appealing, very extroverted, charismatic sort of nose. Hard to hate on this. Ooh. Palate kind of follows from the nose. Very dry. Very dry, actually. I was talking about the Lahit being quite dry. The extra alcohol really punches up the peppery, woody attack on the finish of this, which has ripped all the moisture out of the sides of my mouth, and I've enjoyed it. Again, sort of very pure, like berry flavors, like all the stuff I mentioned before, emphasizing the raspberries and the cherries, well, blackberries too. Dried, but also fresh. There's a freshness to this, which is exciting to me after 30 years in oak. There's some southern sweet tea, some tobacco also, but this is less artisan cigarettes and more like just like a burly flake for pipe tobacco. There's wood, but it's kind of layering on top of itself in a way that bourbon drinkers kind of like. If you are a fan of the modern wood-driven bourbon, you will enjoy this. White pepper, old books, old chairs, attic dust. Manuka honey, and a little bit of like it's not even floral, it's like deodorant. So a little bit of like Old Spice Pure Sport deodorant kind of went into my glass, and I'm drinking it, and I'm not offended. I'm kind of into it. This is nice. This is, so as compared to the Leberon, this is much more approachable, at least for the kind of people who, want their Armagnacs to be bourbon. And that's okay. If that's what you're into, come. I am here to welcome you. I'm here to, I'm going to push you to explore your horizons a little bit, but come on in the room. Come on in, try this. It is a good place to explore. Okay, that's 2 squirts. Let's see if that's enough. No, a little more. Okay. Ooh. Yeah. Bourbon drinkers, this is kind of your thing. It's really kind of reminds me of like Stag in lots of ways, except with more going on. Actually, no, I like this way more than Stag. This is better. Because Stag, it just you add water to it, and it just becomes almost so it becomes so overwhelmingly woody, but there's also just nothing there beyond the wood. This has more happening. All right, let's go back to the Lahit. So to review, the Lahit was kind of behind the other two going into the into round 2 here. The weird foresty Leberon and the just oaky bonanza that was the Hon Timber were kind of just overcoming this very classical, almost textbooky Armagnac from Lahit. But let's see what happens with the water, because I did say it was a little bit congested. Let's see if that's helped out. Oh my God. It helps enormously. So what has happened is this has now become um, like a really good old-fashioned sherried Speyside single malt whiskey. And I'm totally, that's what I'm getting on this. This smells like, you know, a classic like Glenfarclas or Linkwood or something that was bottled in the 80s, you know, distilled in the 60s. Oh God, it's a good nose. So it's just a fruity, cinnamony bomb. I'm getting Turkish coffee. Like list off all the dried fruits. There's even a little bit of apricot creeping in now, and like a funky floral note, like dried wildflowers coming in. To kind of remind you, wait, no, this is an Armagnac. Yeah, seriously, this could be like a really good 25, 30-year-old Macallan that was just bottled in the 80s or the 90s. Terrific nose. On the palate, goddamn right. There we go. Now we're going. This is good. This is very good. Water. So it on the palate, you notice this is not a Macallan. This is a very old, almost delicate French brandy. Water brings out this sour plum note, which is terrific. I always love it when a little bit of sour creeps into my spirits. That always makes me happy. There's more tannins coming through on the back end. This was already pretty dry. More pepper, but it's balanced off with some extra sweetness. And the flowers are just playing around my mouth. It's like a potpourri party in there. And actually, also some Turkish coffee as well. This is very good indeed. I had this at 88 plus. I'm gonna bump that up to 89 plus. Yeah, I like this. It just feels like a class act. So it's doing all the sort of, yeah, textbook Armagnac-y things, but and with it, some of the classic Speyside sherried whiskey things. But it's just throwing in some little extra details there that are really making me happy. The floral potpourri thing. The slight sour plum note. Really nice. 89 plus. Let's see if the others can step up to match. Back to the Leberon. Remember, this is the one I found. I was really intrigued by it, but at the same time, I recognize that this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea or cup of brandy for that matter. So we're kind of working the same themes as this was neat. If anything, it becomes more foresty. More just kind of old leaves, nettle tea again, kind of nettles in general. Like just ashy floral notes, like someone's like burning flowers in the middle of the forest. And then, like out of nowhere, it gets almost this just beautifully grapey. Like I'm just kind of in the middle of this forest. There is an explosion of beautiful grape juiced flavors. Like I'm suddenly experiencing like a very old Pinot de Chartres, or for that matter, like a Floc de Gascon. Just. I mean, it's dense. It's hard to unwrap everything that's going on, and the character of the fermentation is really showing here. But I'm totally seduced by this, on the nose at least. On the palate, Ah. Oh. This is my happy face. Wow, that's a lot to unwrap. So whereas on the nose it still smelled like I was like a forest, on the palate it becomes this almost beautiful like balm of flowers and like perfumes and fruit. And at the same time, the finish is extended way back to the back of my mouth. No problems with the finish cutting short this time. And gets very, very dry in a way that I find appealing. Oh, this is good. Some nice, like, dirty honey nectarine notes, some orange peel. Lots of honey, actually. So, like, just drizzle honey all over your flowers that have been lit on fire. Oh God! So this is a brandy nerd's brandy. This is like bourbon friends. You can wait outside for this one. Come back in the next one, but for this one, I don't know if you're gonna totally be into this. I am totally into this. Oh, the only question is like what score I give this. Hold on, let me go back to the Lahit for a minute. Okay, so so far between these two, I actually think the Lahit is a hair bit better, objectively speaking, but it's not the brandy I would be going home with. I would be going home with the Leberon because I just find it more interesting. I'm going to give it 89 points, and you will notice that is a plus less than the Lahit. But don't think that means that that it's not worth your time. It absolutely is. Tremendous whiskey from Leberon. And let us finish up by returning to the Hon Timber, the probable Pouchegu. Here we go. On the nose. Yeah, again, I cannot not think of George T. Stagg, Buffalo Trace, Mash Bill 1 that's gotten very, very, very old. But better, with more going on. Berries, cherry everything, cherry pie. But then old furniture. And that little tinge of floral. And like pancake syrup of all kinds. Regular syrup, but also fruit syrup. Oh, that's lovely. On the palate. Dang it. On the palate, it doesn't actually develop much with water. In fact, it gets a hair bit simpler and a little bit drying. A little bit too drying for my taste. Tons of oak, cherry, berries, tea, long woody finish. By no means a bad brandy, but I just wish there was more there. No, it's good. It's good. How do I score this? It's good. It's just a little bit too like on profile. I understand, having tried this, especially with water, why Heavenly Spirits have brought it in. They saw what the bourbon friendly Armagnacs were doing on the marketplace, and they decided to hop into the game. I get that. I understand. But I do find this a hair bit like too on the nose for that profile. I'm going to give this, what am I going to give this? No, it's good. 88 points. Yeah, let's stick with that. 88 points. Very good Armagnac. I would absolutely not kick this out of my cabinet, but I do think objectively, I think the winner here is the Lahit, and the one I would be bringing home is the Leberon. So I guess that's it. Lahit 82 gets an 89 plus, Leberon 87 gets an 89 flat, and the Hon Timber 87 gets an 88 from me. Fun flight, actually. This is really fun, and it shows the range of Armagnac from this kind of wood bomb in last place to this weird floral, foresty, nettly thing in the middle. It's a really interesting category, well worth exploring beyond whatever part of it you may be fondest of. That's all I got. I'm gonna go back to tending the newborn, and cheers.